Hello.
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
Great, man. How are you doing?
I'm all right. Well, I've been better. I had COVID last week.
Oh,
Yeah, man.
really?
Oh,
How are you feeling now? Are you okay?
a little bit tired. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie. Yeah, it knocked me for six. It's what
You're
happens when
sick.
you
That's
when you get
class.
locked up. But yeah, no, everything's cool. Everything's cool, cool, cool.
Great, man. Good. Thank you so much for doing this, though. I really, really
That's all
appreciate it.
right.
You know,
That's okay.
um, so
Right.
just literally to jump in then. So you've got so much experience in the music industry. It's dead difficult to cover all of it, in a quick kind of paragraph. But how did you get into doing what you're doing? How did you start off, and where did it all kind of kick off for you?
Um, Well, I fell into my first job in music by absolute chance. I didn't study for anything. I was living up in Lincolnshire actually. When I was 8, my dad's job took our family up to Lincolnshire. So I went to secondary school up there and did my GCSEs up there. But I always found it really difficult when you're at school and they say to you, right, you need to now decide what you want to do for a career. You've got to
Mm,
decide now, because
yeah,
you've got to pick your options and stuff like
yeah,
that. I had no idea. Um, and yeah, I was pretty unsure as to what I wanted to do. Eventually I came back down to London. I always said I was going to come back down to London. And I thought the only way I could get my foot in the door and to start earning a bit of money and to move, I had somewhere to stay, but I just needed a job. So I decided to go to an employment agency because I thought I can do reception work, I can do general office stuff. Um, so I went to an employment agency called Office Angels in Richmond. And while I was there doing a typing test, they had a phone call from a music company called CD Pool, which was quite a new company, and they were looking for. It's probably politically incorrect to say this sort of thing now, but a female touch, someone to order the
yeah.
stationery, to
Right.
run the boss's diaries, to make sure they go to meetings, just to run, the general office side of things. Um, so I thought, oh, hold on a minute, music. This sounds great. I love clubbing. I love I was always into drum and bass, mainly. I'll be out every single weekend raving around the country. Me and
Yeah.
my friend would get into one of our cars and just go off to the
Have it.
Sanctuary in Milton Keynes, Leicester,
Yeah.
Nottingham. We'd go all over the shop. So I thought, yeah, this sounds quite good. Music, yeah, I'm into that. So I had an interview with them within an hour. I got jumped on a bus and went up to Putney, and I got on like a house on fire with these two bosses. They were big Millwall fans at the time, because I was living up in Lincolnshire still at that point. Grimsby Town were in the same league, and we started talking about football, and I just got on really well with them. Anyway, I left it at that, toddled off back up to Lincolnshire, and a couple of weeks later I got a phone call saying they wanted to offer me the job. So I had somewhere to stay. So I came down and started the job at CD Pool. And after a while, I thought, well, hold on a minute, this is brilliant. I'm into this. I want more responsibility. I want to do
Right.
more. I don't just want to order the stationery. Um, Give me some responsibility. So what CD Pool was, it was about a monthly CD with brand new music that they would send sell as a subscription service to DJs. So a DJ would pay, and each month that we would send them a CD that had all lots of brand new tracks on it.
Mm.
Um, so they gave me the pop CD to compile, which was great. But because it was a CD and it had to be manufactured and mastered and everything like that, you had to find out what tracks were being released in a month's time. And I was
Right.
like, well,
Right.
how do I do that? How do I
Yeah.
know what's going to be released? So then I heard of this company called Power Promotions. And I thought, well, they sort of do the similar sort of stuff. It's not a subscription service, but they promote music to DJs and they have a commercial division. And I thought, if I get in with them, they might be able to tip me off every month with what they're
Help me out.
promoting.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Okay.
So I cheekily rang them up, went over and had a meeting, and with the girl who was the lady who was running the pop division at the time, and explained I said what the situation was, and she thought I was completely cheeky, but loved my cheekiness and offered me a job as her assistant.
Wow. Right. Okay.
So there. So after 2 years at CD Paul, I then went over to Power as an assistant, packing vinyl in mailers,
Wow.
cutting my arms to shreds. You know,
Yeah.
lugging boxes of vinyl because at the time it was vinyl promos. Opening all the posts with all the DJ reaction sheets and everything like that. And then after a couple of years, the lady that I was assisting for had to leave due to unfortunate circumstances. And the bosses offered me her job to
Wow.
run the commercial division,
Wow.
which I did. I lost a few clients because nobody knew who I was, you know, and they were like,
Yeah.
who's this young girl? Not got really much experience at all in the music
Experience. Yeah.
industry. But I clawed everything back. The bosses stuck with me. And now I've been there 26 years and I'm a director. It's my company now.
Wow. Wow.
So
That's
long.
amazing.
Yeah, it's a mad story. It's a mad story. I mean, I never even considered a career in music. But I grew within it.
Yeah.
And I didn't need uh, any specific qualifications, just a good ear, really. And to learn the systems, learn how to promote, learn put together timelines of strategies to send tracks out and stuff
Yeah.
like that. I mean, obviously over the years it's changed because we've
Definitely.
gone from vinyl promos to CD promos to digital now.
Yeah. Of course.
So the mechanics of promoting to DJs has changed a lot now. Whereas back in the day, we would send out music maybe 10 weeks up front of release, so DJs could play it in the clubs, and then that
Mm.
would build up a pre-order.
Right.
Whereas now, with it being digital, there's a thing called on air, on sale type thing. So we send tracks out to DJs the day tracks are out on Spotify.
Right.
And that's purely from the fact that you need people to easily access that music. If they
That's
hear a
it.
track being played in the clubs, they want to be able to Shazam it. They can't Shazam it unless it's out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, if somebody hears a track being played in the clubs, they want to be able to find it to download,
Yeah.
to stream. There's so much music out there, people's mindsets are a lot shorter, the time span, you know. So if that music isn't available at that moment in time when that person wants to download it or stream it, they'll move on and forget about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the campaign strategies that we work now are completely different to how they used to be.
Right. That's, I mean, it's probably going to keep changing as well, isn't it? Because the music industry is just constantly evolving, especially with the likes of social media platforms and like TikTok and all of the
Yeah.
way like music is consumed now is just different, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And the TikTok side of things, it's not something that we don't have a specific TikTok division or anything like that, but it's an integral part of a release. I
Yeah.
sit in meetings at the record labels, and you have like record label A&R management, press, TV, club. But then you have somebody now that's specifically pushing to all the influencers on TikTok
Yeah.
because
Absolutely.
it's such a massive area that is completely relevant and very, very key. You know, if you can get some key influencers to support and post the video of them doing a dance or whatever on their
Yeah.
platform, then that could have a massive effect and massive knock-on effect to the success of a track and the hype that surrounds it.
So
You know,
the social media and the online presence is something that you think is key to the success of a track now.
absolutely. I mean, it's like it's all about what's happening online. You know, record labels back in the day, when if you had a really hot dance track back in the day, I mean, yourself being an artist, if you wanted to get a label deal, if you wanted to get signed, whether it be a person or whether it be a club track or something like that, back in the day, the A&R people would find it, they would source it out, they would go and find it, and they would source out what the hottest track is out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's all about numbers. It's all about followers. It's all about content. It's all about
Metrics.
yeah, absolutely. And that's a massive part of tracks and projects getting signed now, to have this sort of backstory and to have quite a lot of the groundwork already done.
Definitely. And like I see that when I'm going into meetings and things as well, where you'll present an artist and you go like, I really love this. This is a part of this. They've gone on tour. They've done this. There's so the music's really cool. Da, 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 da. And one of the very first questions that will come up is like, great. What are their socials numbers like?
Yeah, I know,
like,
right? And if it's nothing,
and you're just like,
this is it. And if it's and it's really difficult,
Yeah.
But if it's low numbers, then that could that could be the what swings it of whether you get signed or not.
I know.
And it really should be about the strength and the quality of the music, really.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously there are new producers and new artists and stuff that come out, but they haven't just come out of nowhere. They've been working hard over the years and putting music out and building.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What in terms you were talking before about like the honing sort of your taste and like honing what you think that's a good track that should go here, or that like how have you done that? How have you is it just a case of just going to clubs, listening to stuff, or is there more to it, or what do you think?
I've learned really over the years. I mean, I guess you can't do a job for 26 years and not naturally sort of grow with it,
Yeah.
I mean, I get certain tracks sent to me and I'm like, oh God, I'm not into that at all. But I can see it's going to be massive.
Right.
I can hear it's going to be massive. You've got to put your personal opinions aside, and look at the bigger picture.
Yeah.
I mean, we promote music to DJs. We promote everything from super, super cool underground house music through to Calvin Harris, David Guetta, all of the MK, but then we do the likes of Camel Fat, Sonny Fodera. So we do everything. So the record labels come to me and then they're like, right, we've got Calvin's new track. And I'll be like, right, okay, well, it's Calvin Harris, it's commercial. So that's going to appeal to those DJs.
Yeah.
So I'll send it to those DJs. But then maybe 4 weeks later, they'll drop a super cool remix of it, which means now I can send it to those DJs.
Yeah.
So
it's an underground track rather than
so it's just totally about placing the right music. You never know. You can't judge it. I can guarantee that all these DJs are going to love it, because it's personal opinion as far as the DJs are concerned as well. But you could have a very good idea of who it should appeal to.
Yeah, of course.
You don't know what a reaction is going to be until you put the track out there at the end of the day. I hear it all the time. Oh, Tracey, I've got a #1 record on my hands. And I'm like, do you know what? How many times I've heard that? It's like, I bet you haven't. I bet you really haven't.
I bet you haven't.
I bet you haven't. But then I can't turn around to a client and say that. I mean, I do turn down records. I don't promote everything. You've got to have your bread and butter clients, obviously, because I promote for all the major record labels from Sony, Columbia, Polydor, Island, Virgin, Positiva, EMI, RCA, Ministry of Sound. But then you have so many independent record labels out there that deserve just as much of a chance and deserve to have their records worked in exactly the same way as the majors.
Yeah.
And then you also have producers that put their tracks out there who want to generate a little bit of heat on their track, potentially to get signed, to hopefully get it noticed. So you can't give more to one project and not the next.
And not to the next. Yeah.
But they're all very, very different. I mean, the likes of Calvin, these records, I don't really have to do a lot, really. I send it out. I know that it's going to be like 98% of the commercial DJs I send it to are going to give it full. They're going to give it full support. The ones that are lesser known, from the smaller labels or the unknown producers, or if the DJs are like, oh, I've never had a promo from this person before, they do take more work. But when I say more work, that's me going through the reports, looking at who's not supporting it, targeting those DJs and going back to them and saying, listen, everybody, you've got to dress it up a little bit. Everybody else is loving this track. You're missing out. You must have overlooked it. Go back and have another listen. I'll send out a cross section of the positive comments from my report. I'll lift those off. Any information that's coming from any other areas, if it's had any radio plays, how it's doing on Spotify, streaming stats. So I'll put together hypes that I'll send out to the DJs. to show them a bigger picture, really, to sort of say, right, this just isn't a track that was only just gone to club. There's more of a story around it.
Yeah.
It's popping on the playlist. It's, you know, it's picking up. It's had 10 specialist radio plays from Mr. Jam, SKT on Kiss, you know, Dance Anthems Radio 1. All of that information really helps the hype and push from my side.
Yeah.
Obviously, not every single release that I promote has that type of infrastructure going on, because not every client has that sort of budget, because if they're going to pay for a radio plugger, that's not cheap.
No,
I
mean, you're talking £1,000, maybe more, 2,000.
You are, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
If you're looking at a daytime radio push, again, it goes back to what we were just talking about, Ben. This playlist, say for example, Radio 1 playlist, it can only fit X amount of tracks on their daytime playlist. Who are they going to go for? They are going to go for your Taylor Swift, your Calvin Harris, your David Guetta, you know, your Bugsy Malone's, your H's and stuff like that. So you've got to be realistic. I always say to clients, you know, don't put all your eggs in one basket, and don't invest in a national radio plugger yet. Invest in a regional radio plugger, because regionally, up and down the country, there are so many radio stations, daytime radio stations. So you've got more of a chance of the track getting onto daytime regional radio than being one of the very lucky 40 people that gets a playlist on national radio.
Yeah, absolutely.
If the regional support starts picking up and building, then there's a time to possibly go to national radio, because you then have a story.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I mean, a lot of what I do is advising. It's marketing at the end of the day. It's marketing and promotion. It's marketing, A&R and promotion. The clients that come to me with a track which I'm a little unsure of, I might say to them, look, you know, it's an all right track, but if you got a remix of it, then that would be definitely something I could then get involved with. But then again, not all clients have got the budget to have a remix. So you've got to try and tweak the advice that I give to all the different clients, depending on who they are, what they want, what the track's like, what their budget is. You know, but like I said, everybody deserves that same chance. You know,
the chance and the effort that you put in has to be equal across. Has to be parity across everything that you do. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
What do you think makes a banger? What do you think? What's the thing that you go, that'll go in your opinion?
A hook.
Yeah, for sure.
A big hook. Massive production, real crisp quality production, big fat chunky bass lines. If it's depending on what type of track it is, really, but if it's a club track, it's about the hook, because if you've got people that can hum along, or that can hear it, and it's subconsciously in their head, and they're driving down the road and they're humming it, it's like, where the hell did that come from? You know, it's worked its way in, and if it can work its way in naturally, that's a sign of a potentially big track. Is the strength of the hook.
Do you think there's any I mean, there might be, I don't know, but do you think there's anything to be said for like who produced it? I don't mean the famous names, I don't mean that. I just mean in terms of like, you know, there's, I know from coming at it from like a sort of, well, both sides of the fence, the dancey kind of side, as well as the indie and the acoustic and all that kind of sides of things. I know for a fact that in that indie acoustic world, it's like, oh, and it was produced by this guy, and it's not necessarily a famous name, but it's someone who's like very well thought of in this particular studio and everything. Do you think that translates to the success?
I mean, obviously, well, yeah, because I guess so, because you know that that person is going to deliver the quality.
Of course.
You know, so yeah, I mean, but it shouldn't make a difference, really, because if it sounds good, then it sounds good, you know. But you know, it's having a reputable name behind a production instantly taps you into door. It instantly opens some doors. Definitely. You know, it really does. I mean, I've worked a few tracks over the years that have been sort of ghost produced by big named producers, but they haven't wanted their names attached to it.
Right.
So yeah, it's different situations for different releases, really. But yeah, I mean, if you've got a big name behind a production or something, you would expect it to fly. You would expect it to be as good a quality as if they were putting it out themselves.
Yeah. Fair enough. Just mindful of the time, Tracey. So I'll
What? That's gone so quickly.
I know, mate.
Oh, but I'm having
Catch
so
up
much
soon,
fun.
I know. Hey, we can do more. We can do it again. It's good.
I'd happily do it again.
You know what though? Do you know what we
Yeah.
should do? We should follow up by doing it in the pub. That's what we'll do next. We'll
Well, I remember the last time we did that.
that was a boss. That was like 24 hours on it.
I blame us getting drunk on my dog. It was her fault. She loves the pub, doesn't she?
She loves the pub, your dog.
She absolutely loves the pub. I was just going to say to her, do you want to go to the pub? And she's at the front door. It's so bad. It's
she's
so
like,
bad. Yeah, she's like, that's great. I can't believe how quickly that's gone. Oh,
yeah, that's mental, isn't it? Can we do one more question before?
Maybe we could go to 1:15 if you want.
All right, mate. Are you sure? I'm not.
Yeah, no, I'm good. That gives me 15 minutes to prep for the meeting.
Go on, all right.
I'm pretty much
we'll
that's
do
fine.
Like one, maybe two more questions then. Okay, so in terms of just like for new artists at any end of the spectrum, but people who are like, reasonably good, who have cracked it, maybe they've gone to college, maybe they haven't, doesn't matter. But like, they're doing stuff and they're sort of fairly serious about it. What would you think, or what would you say is kind of like a good tip or just a couple of things that are like, these are solid gold bits of advice?
I would say a constant flow of music. Don't take your eye off the ball. Don't have a gap. With the digital world that we're in now, it's very easy to release music. You just need an aggregator now. You could use companies such as CD Baby or AWOL or whatever, where you can upload your music yourself and you can have a release yourself. You don't need to pay for you don't need to pay stupid amounts for a distributor or anything anymore like you used to have to do. I would just say keep the content coming, push on the social medias, keep the releases coming, upload them. If you don't want to put them up on Spotify through through a platform like I suggested, get them on SoundCloud, and then post on your social media links to it. If you contain a sample of a track, tag that original artist. It's about building up those numbers and keeping the flow of the music coming. It's not easy. It's not easy to get stuff signed, but you know what, to get on people's radar, there's got to be a bit of heat. So you've got to do something. You can't just have a record that's cold. Okay, I've just produced this banger in the studio. I'm not going to just sit on it. You can't just sit on it. Someone's got to hear it. So you've got to get it out somehow.
Yeah.
Whether that's coming through to me to help, there's sometimes you could just say, right, okay, I could be like, right, okay, rather than going all far and wide, if you want your track signing to a record label, it doesn't make sense for me to send it to everybody.
Yeah.
Because a record label will be like, right, we sign this track, we're going to release it. Oh, everybody's already got it.
Yeah.
That doesn't make it appealing. So you can create some heat by doing a very, very limited mail out on it. You could get it out to the top 100 DJs.
Yeah.
If it's a commercial track, you can get it out to the top 100 commercial DJs. When you think about these commercial high street DJs, they could play in 3,000-4,000 capacity venues. So that track that I'm sending to 100 mainstream DJs could be getting heard by thousands of people each week.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's about doing something with the music, having it on some sort of platform so you can share the links, i.e. whether it's on Spotify or SoundCloud, because then you can post those links to your social media, and just keep the flow of music coming. I think when people take their foot off the gas a little bit, you can become you can just lose your momentum that you've built up.
Yeah.
It's very easy to lose momentum.
And when people check in with you and they see like, oh, they haven't done anything for weeks or months or whatever, it starts to naturally just be like, oh, well, there's clearly nothing happening then.
Well, and there's clearly 50 other people that are coming through at the, in between that. So you've got to keep on that ball. You've got to keep that ball rolling.
Yeah.
It's
so difficult, isn't it? For because it's a wider issue than just go away and create some great tracks. It's not just that. It's like create the tracks, create remixes of the tracks, post about the tracks, think of interesting posts that are not just for your TikTok, but for like Instagram reels, then for stories, and for this, and then maybe you've got a Substack, and maybe you've got something else.
I mean, it's a hell of a lot of work.
A lot, isn't it? It's a lot.
This is where social media helps and it hinders. It's hard. I mean, God, I struggle posting stuff on my own Instagram. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to take videos of me eating dinner and stuff like that, but it's you're either good at it or you're not, I think. But it's very, very important, that's for sure. And also if it's a producer and somebody's making tracks and it's always good to listen to specialist radio shows on a dance perspective. Listen to what these guys are playing. Listen to what Mr. Jam's playing on Capital Dance. Listen to what the Kiss DJs are playing in the evenings on their radio shows. Because that's the way in. If you can get one of these shows, one of these guys who have an evening show to play your track, that is what you're after. They're only going to play it if it's relevant for their show. So, listen to the strength, and there are trends that go, there's quite a lot of commercial drum and bass about at the moment, which is nice.
Sorts you out.
I'm quite happy about that. But, it's, I mean, just to use as reference points, really, by listening to the shows, you've got to hear what the vibe is at the moment, what the popular tracks are at the moment, how good the production is at the moment. Are these DJs playing fully vocal tracks, or are they more dubbier versions which is a little bit dirtier production that's got chunks of the vocal taken out, or listen to these shows to see what the trends are. Because it does go through waves and there are different trends, and especially at different times of the year. I mean, obviously you'll find during the summer you get these big vocal house bangers because Ibiza's going off, and all the holiday resorts are going crazy, and people want these beautiful, fat, euphoric vocal house tracks. You'll find in the winter sometimes music gets a little bit deeper. So it's quite interesting how certain tracks can be seasonal as well. Really
interesting, and the way it coincides with festival season and stuff as well.
Exactly.
And all the
I mean, you could have a track. I did a track. So I was in Amsterdam last month at the music conference there, and last year I had a meeting with some guys who've got a Dutch record label, and I started work on it in last November. Then beginning of this year, Ministry of Sound picked it up, and it was one of the biggest tracks throughout the summer.
Wow.
So that's nearly a year, because it was crazy. I met up with them again last month for the next track.
Wow.
I was like, right, well, this is going to be big next summer then, right? But it's true. I mean, that's how long things take sometimes. You can't keep a good record down at the end of the day, when it's got legs, and it will just keep going and going and going.
Definitely.
But it's a prime example of how long tracks can take from the birth through to them being hammered in the festivals a year later, because by that point everybody knows it, everybody's aware of it, because you've had it drilled into your head for the last sort of 8 months, 9 months or whatever.
Do you have any particular highlights of like projects you've worked on, or particular tracks that you loved working it in for any particular reason or anything?
I'll tell you what record I'm loving at the moment. There's a track out at the moment. Have you heard of Skepta, right?
Oh, yeah.
Do you know he's got a house label?
Yes. Yeah.
And he's done this amazing track which is called A Tribute to Amy Winehouse, and it's got Amy's vocal on it, so it's all been approved and everything. It's My Tears Dry on Their Own, and it is the most brilliantly produced tech house banger.
Right, and it's obviously a great homage to Amy as well. And
It
like,
really
yeah,
is.
yeah,
There's
yeah.
so much. I'm loving working this at the moment, just purely from the fact that there's no other dance track that's had Amy's vocals approved for use.
Right.
Skepta's managed to get this cleared, and Mitch, Amy's
Wow.
dad, approved it, and and he's put. You'd never think Amy's vocal of Tears Dry on their own would work in a house banger.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but it's stories like that I find, really interesting, and stories like the one I mentioned from Amsterdam,
Mm.
to be there, to have the conversation before anybody received it, to then working the record, to then seeing it
Seeing
fly
it.
over the summer months and in the festivals, and to be a part of that
Yeah.
is a buzz for me. I mean, I still buzz a lot off the working the records, and seeing success, or seeing tracks get picked up and get label homes and then become hits. It's a great feeling to know that I'm just a small part of a very big wheel.
Yeah, but it's clearly been something that you love, because why would you do it 26 years later? Well,
I know,
if it
right? It's a
wasn't
long
something that you
time, isn't
feel like,
it?
"Oh, I love this,"
I know. Well, I never knew I would love it.
Yeah,
It's something I was very, very lucky. Very lucky. I mean, it's very difficult to get your foot in the door nowadays. Record labels and music companies, and any company, regardless of what they deal in, people aren't. There aren't as many jobs out there as there used to be.
mm, mm.
We get asked all the time if we'd take on apprenticeships and stuff, and it's just
I really,
you
yeah, and
just don't need the people,
yeah,
because if we were still packing thousands and thousands of mailers, maybe, but that's not much fun. But then I guess that's how I started off. But
yeah.
I just don't need the manpower anymore. Now everything's
That's
digital,
it. I mean,
You
there's
just
so
need
many
a
places.
decent music delivery system so
That's
DJs can
it.
download their track.
So many places don't even need offices anymore. They're just
Well,
like,
do you know what? I mean,
yeah,
I'm still working from
that's it.
home most of the time. We've still got our office,
Mm.
which you'll see again when you come down to London and
I
we go to the
will. I
pub.
will. I can't wait. I can't wait. That pub that is so close to it. I know exactly the one.
Either.
Only as long as the dog can come. That's the only.
Oh,
That's the
don't
only thing.
worry. She's there already. She's waiting for us already. She's there.
All right, Tracey. Well, we'll leave it there. Otherwise, we'll get locked into like another 20 minutes worth of chat. But
Well, do you know what? One thing I would like to say, though, if anybody does want to get some advice or some feedback on a track, then just email it to me.
yeah,
Tracy at power.co.uk. I'll
perfect.
happily listen to it and give them as much advice as I possibly can, and help in any way that I can, really. So, I'm more than happy for people to do that.
Excellent, man. Yeah, excellent.
All
Thank you
right.
so much. Yes.
All right, darling.
All right, Tracy.
Nice to see you,
So lovely
Ben.
to see you, mate. Mwah.
See you later,
Take
love.
care, mate. Bye.
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 Bye. Bye.